Hey, welcome everybody to Drink While You Think. Believe it or not, this is me and Matthew May from Acuity, and this is our, do you know what episode this is, Matthew?
This is our 10th episode, isn't it?
Double digits, baby. Double digit episode. So
yeah. That means we're up to like 13 viewers.
I think so. I mean, in total, that's cumulative viewers.
Well, yeah, because that's my mom, and then your dad like watched 2 of them. My mom watched all 9.
Not sure my dad still knows how to work,
Okay.
YouTube. So we're not sure. I'm teasing, Dad.
Are you going Stella?
Yeah, I am. What are you drinking? So let's get into our usual. I'm opening up Stella. Nothing real special today. I'm going Stella, except that it's the wonderful name of my daughter, Stella. But I wanted something a little bit lighter. I actually just did a workout, so that's kind of why I'm in non-accounting looking clothes. Got a little water here too. I need to kind of rehydrate a bit. And
I'm going with water also, the all-day IPA.
That's not water. That's a great one. The Founders All-Day IPA. I'm trying to make sure every time I come to this, I'm at least trying something different. I mean, obviously I've had this before, but I'm trying this different. But I'll remind everybody our format. So for all of you who are new to Drink While You Think, I guess the best way to the best way to describe our crazy format is one of our friends told us, hey, I felt like I was totally just sitting there having a drink with you guys, like just talking about the random things we talk about. And I was like, yes, that's exactly it. That's all we're trying to accomplish. We're not trying to move mountains, change anything in the world. It's literally like, hey, what kind of random topics do Matthew and I like to talk about with our friends while, in the amount of time it takes to consume one drink, whatever it is you're drinking, beer, wine, something non-alcoholic. We've leaned toward ones with alcohol in them, only because we typically like to film these on Friday kind of evenings when we're kind of shutting it down for the week. So anyway, you're not probably getting the most riveting industry news here. It's maybe somewhat interesting. We hit a lot of topics. We do talk about stuff in our industry, which is kind of in the cloud accounting space. Matthew, I love talking about other things that are important to us, like family. We have teenagers, just the craziness of being entrepreneurs. We're into sports. We probably cover a bit of all those things. So I'll start with my first question then. When you want real industry news, where do you go?
Real industry news?
For our industry, what are your go-to? Like, what do you go to, like, to keep up? Partly because I laughed. I've seen you reading before. I've walked in and you're reading the Journal of Accountancy, like the actual magazine. I didn't know they even printed that anymore.
Yeah,
from that. But where do you get?
I do read the Journal of Accountancy, and I listen to the Cloud Accounting Podcast. Those are my 2 primary sources that are go-to for news to me. So shout out to Blake and David.
I was even going to do a little show and tell here. Let's see if I can get to it. Oh, I was going to mention, this is one I like too. I was going to say the Cloud Accounting Podcast too. Also, I really like Ryan Lazanis's. It's kind of a newer newsletter. It's futurefirm.co. Check that one out.
That's cool.
That's cool. He puts it out once a week. Great guy up in Montreal. And then, if you haven't checked out the Cloud Accounting Podcast with Blake and David Leary, it is the #1 accounting and bookkeeping podcast in the world. So you're missing out if you're not on it. But those guys are awesome. Tons of
since we got rid of the cars, I either read the Journal of Accountancy on the train or I listen to the Cloud Accounting Podcast on the train. So that's kind of the 2 things that have gotten me through my commute. So that's awesome.
Just out of curiosity, what did you do before? Like, you can listen to podcasts in the car.
Yeah, I never got into podcasts while I was driving. I wasn't good at, you know me. I need to do one thing at a time. And so that was, in sports radio, it was hard to top sports radio for me. So in the car, so I was either sports radio or listening to country music in the morning or the talk radio.
I like how you say you like to do only one thing at a time, because I know you well, and that is not you. You've got a million things going on at the same time.
I can only do one thing well.
Okay. Fair enough.
And that's debatable even then. So
okay. Today is, by the way, what today is the day. It's Friday. It's March the 8th. You know what today is?
Like globally? Isn't it International Women's Day?
International Women's Day. Very good. Very good. So that's my
Yeah.
next question for you. Give me and there's been lots of women in your life. That said, that came out wrong. There's been one woman in your life, your wonderful wife, Laura, but now give me a woman that's been important, influential to you. Someone you think too, who's just, I guess in the theme of what I guess I think of the celebration today is those who've, fought for equal rights. I don't know. Give me an example of someone maybe it's been important to you.
Oh, wow. What a great question. Um,
You need a sec, or you?
the family, I mean, the family pop up kind of the strongest. I mean, obviously my two grandmothers and my mom pop up kind of right away when you say that. I have one grandmother grew up in Monterrey, Mexico, and actually was born in the U.S., grew up in Monterrey, Mexico. That's the only of the three that's passed away. And she was kind of like the consummate, like, keep everybody along. That's what comes with having 10 kids, I think. And then my other grandmother is still living, actually, and she's like the family first, like, power woman. Like, there's nothing that her family can do, and she will guard them. She was like the family guard dog. Like, you don't mess with she's like the ultimate mama bear. We joke about having a mama bear at a cutie, but she's the ultimate mama bear in our family. And then my mom, obviously, is the kind of the matriarch, I feel like, of my extended family now that my grandmother's passed away. So she's the oldest daughter, and she's kind of the aggregator and entertainer for her sisters. And she's kind of the surrogate grandmother now for my cousins who are all younger. She's the one of the oldest. So since my grandmother had 10 kids, she's the kids that never knew my grandma, who is their grandma, kind of looked to my mom as kind of the older statesman, because my aunt is closer in age to me than my mom. So her kids like look to my mom a lot of times. I think like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think of mom. What about you?
I think of there's a lot. I think the one that jumps out to me most is probably my grandmother on my dad's side. And that's my grandma Aiko, and she was born and raised in Japan and moved over here as a teenager and lived here. And so she grew up. I guess as I grew up, when she and my grandfather were married, through kind of weird situation, they ended up in Iowa, and like this is during World War II, and so she was just a unbelievably tough-minded and focused, and also just very forward-thinking kind of woman. Even though she was kind of pretty traditional Japanese, but to be able to kind of, in the face of a lot of the inequalities that she had, along with just probably some of even the racial tensions of people of Japanese ancestry when they were in right after World War II, she just handled a lot of that with dignity and kind of grace. My grandfather was a little town doctor in Iowa, but my grandmother ran the entire business. Like, that was always the joke. My grandfather, I don't think, really knew much about business. He knew how to help people when they were sick. My grandmother just ran his entire practice, and she did it, efficiently, and she was really good about being a great gatekeeper and like protecting like their family's time. But man, she went through a lot back there in the middle of the Midwest in the 40s as a Japanese woman. She was just a really, really tough and very family-minded person. So I just admire her in that. I didn't know her. She passed away when I was a baby, but I just think about, man, that is a tough. Like, you think about what those women went through.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
That's intense too.
That's intense.
That's a crazy time to be moving to Iowa.
Yeah.
During World War II as a Japanese American. So.
Well, I mean, they had to.
I guess she was full Japanese, right?
And my grandfather was too, but he never grew up in Japan. But that's the reason they ended up in Iowa, was because they left. Otherwise, all the rest of their family went into internment camps at that time. So they're like, okay, we're out of here. So they ended up in Iowa. But anyway, longer stories there. But I thought I'd mention that we're really fortunate to work in a firm that has an unbelievable amount of amazing and inspiring women that we work with. So thought it was good to kind of talk to you today. Actually, I was speaking to a firm owner, a woman firm owner, Brittany Brown, this week over at Ledger Gurus. Brittany's awesome. And she and I were having a good conversation. And we were talking about, she and I were talking about raising of prices. Like, just as, I guess, as firm owners, as business owners, like, it is really hard to raise prices on people, I think. So you and I have gone through this before. What's maybe like a simple, if there is a simple, maybe best practice or maybe a first step for people when you think about how do you go about putting a price increase on an existing client?
Well, one of the things I've been thinking about, and I mean, I don't know if you and I have talked about this yet, but is kind of baking into our engagement letters a inflationary indexed adjustment that you do every year. On December 31st. You go to how much inflation there was, and you raise your price by that, and you go from there. That seems to be the fairest thing to do. When I'm thinking about price increases, I'm actually, the only reason I'm thinking about it is because we have all these employees that deserve raises. It doesn't make sense to give raises if you don't increase prices.
Yeah.
So I think having some kind of mechanism where people have lots of advance notice that's fair, if that's giving them 12 months notice or whatever you do. But I thought we should probably, before June comes around, tell people we're going to be doing this in December, and just build it into our cadence. Every year we're going to increase by inflationary amounts, and our pricing is going to look odd because it's not going to be the $9.99 or whatever anymore. But just start doing that as we go.
I think it's good. And to me, I hear you say expectations, and I think setting those up front are very important. Well, the one that I liked, and Brittany and I talked a little bit about this, is I think that when you're talking about raising prices, you're typically impacting legacy clients who may have been with you for a while.
Right.
And so she and I were kind of going back and forth, going, okay, what if there's a way if you can raise prices for them and have them recognize that, yes, you're probably on an old plan that probably doesn't even exist anymore, but also still do something for them like, hey, I still want to acknowledge you as a long-term client that believed in us early on. And so she and I were kind of talking about other ways to still get price point increase, but make sure that those legacy clients who have been with you maybe get some other form of discount above and beyond what a brand new client can come in the door, just as a way to recognize them. And so anyway, some interesting.
I think
it's all, but it's tough for everyone to do that.
Yeah, I think you should always be reevaluating your go forward pricing, right? So like when we went from $3.99 to $4.49 for our weekly, like that's an easy decision. Like change that for the prospective people. So if we had done a 3% increase, our legacy clients would have been fine, right? So they would have gotten the benefit of being with us a long term. They wouldn't have had the increase that everybody else had. So I think that's how I kind of get around that, to where you're still rewarding your clients that have been around forever, is kind of that inflationary adjustment for them. But any forward pricing for new clients, you have to think about that every year.
If anyone has any good ideas, please let us know. This is always a little challenging, and love hearing ideas on this one. Let's keep moving. I'm going to do a little bit of, or maybe a lot of dad bragging. I got last night to go and watch my daughter go perform in her school's production of Les Miserables. And it was just it was amazing. I don't think there's anything as a parent maybe more joyful than watching your kid do something they love, just in the act of that. And it just kind of really dawned on me when I see my kid, whether it's something sports or an activity or something. And it's very easy to recognize that when they truly are performing in front of you. What are some things that I guess when you think about your kids, that you love seeing them do?
Well, I like seeing them happy. But I thought it was cool for you, Stella getting, not only being in Les Mis, but being the lead is kind of another kind of step in that, like not just like doing what she loves, but being really successful and being in a
she wasn't the lead in this one. She will be in Beauty and the Beast coming up, but yes.
Oh, she's the lead in Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, Sorry.
Lots of drama and theater in our household.
So, when you're talking about those kind of experiences, we had similar experiences with Tipton, when he got to experience singing at Carnegie Hall. So like, that's like on the dad bucket checklist, watch your kids sing at Carnegie Hall. Like, I don't care if it's with 800 other kids, like you're like, he got to experience and appreciate what it's like to be back there. There were some kids that really understood kind of the gravity of like being able to step foot on Carnegie Hall. There were kids that have been saving up for 2 years to be able to afford to be a part of the choir that he sang with. And they were in tears, like, and he really, really was able to communicate that
That's
he could
so
appreciate
cool.
that.
Yeah.
You know, so stuff like that's really cool. But just like you said, it's just seeing them. I like when they're successful too. You know, Ivy's been,
but seeing them happy. Yeah.
Ivy's been grinding on debate all year. And this last at the city tournament, she got an individual medal for kind of her efforts. You know, she was in the top 20 of the kids in her division. And, you know, those kind of moments, like it's half relief, half excitement, I guess, for a dad. It's like, oh, like she's doing great and she's enjoying it. But, you know, the smiles make it all worth it. So
totally. It's, you know, we've talked about it, and I've talked to some other good friends who are in the Zero community, but I can't believe I'm missing ZeroCon this year. But the fact that I'm missing it because I'm going to be with my son, who just made Eagle Scout in Scouts this year, where he and I are going on a 2-week trip together. And I get to spend time around him doing something that he just loves. He loves to be outdoors. He loves to camp. Is one of the, you know, it's just amazing. It's a bummer that it happens to be during ZeroCon, but we'll get through that. So
don't worry, I'll represent.
Okay, I got another one here for you. I'm doing more show and tell. You ready?
Cool. Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about this one. Let's see if I can find this craziness. Where'd it go? It's hiding behind a tab that I can't reach because the Zoom thing's in the way. I'll tell you about what. So we'll sit here and give more promotional time to the Cloud Accounting.
Oh no.
Okay, I can actually combine this week NFL and accounting. You ready?
Oh, that's awesome.
Accounting Today did an article on Ndamukong and how he thinks about accounting and taxes. So the gist of it is he was in Miami for a long time. I think he had some residency in Texas, a couple of states without, state income tax. But, he moved to the Rams, and he's opening up some businesses, in LA. And he was saying that he's okay with paying the state income taxes because his good friend, I think somewhere in the article, it said something like, there's Warren Buffett, not talking to Ndamukong, but I thought it was kind of funny. It said like his good friend Warren Buffett told him that he's got pay more taxes in the state of California, but he gives him more access to people, to opportunities, so it's worth the trade-off in tax side. Anyway, it's kind of an interesting article. What is these athletes who go to different states and develop residency to avoid income tax? You for that, or are you kind of like, that's kind of a Bush League move?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm in the minority probably. I'm fine with like really high taxes on people. I just think of how well we have it here, like as far as like the top, like even in the top 20% of income earners in the United States, but the top 1%, when we look at them, like I just don't cry for them, Argentina, on the
that's probably fair
tax rates. I'm a little anti tax avoidance or tax evasion strategies. So like,
I hear you. I mean, part of it I think is, okay, if it's not illegal. So if someone wants to go and have the ability to move their residence, that's fine. I just get a kick out of this whole thing talking about
his buddy,
his long term, on the advice of his long-term friend Warren Buffett. Like, is Warren Buffett like the coolest guy ever, or is that just like, that he has all these great friends? I guess when you're
everybody wants to hang with Warren Buffett.
Why would you not? But how about that conversation, right? Like,
I can't see Sue and
Warren Buffett.
Yeah, I stepped on this guy's head. Buffett being like, why'd you step on the guy's head during a playoff game?
I know.
And that's just got to be a random conversation. Like, did Sue? Where did he go to college though? Was he Nebraska?
He's Nebraska. So
that's the Warren Buffett thing. That's where they made him. That's where we made the connection.
That's
There
really
we go.
so it's probably a legit one. He wasn't just throwing it out there like my
Yeah,
friend Warren.
I'm sure he knew him in college because somebody had to pay him in college. So
Okay. You're hold that thought. I actually have that one. We're going to talk about that in a second.
okay.
I have one other thing before we get to that, and I promise I didn't even tell you what we were going to talk about. All right. I keep jumping around. I'm going to keep doing it. I should have kept the screen share up because now we have to sit here and look at the page again until I get it to. Okay. Here we are looking at my disc personality.
Oh,
Here I am,
I didn't do mine, did I yet?
No, laid bare in front of the, and the world and you of who I am. Yes, my result, I'm an advisor and I'm a high I and all these, whatever. Regardless of that, give me your take on personality tests. Helpful or not helpful? Or just kind of like,
Incredibly helpful. Incredibly insightful.
Okay.
Just like anything else, like if you use them too much, they become bad. If you use them as they're intended to give insight and to adjust how you communicate with people, adjust how you work with people, it can be great. I don't know what this means, but
is it kind of like, that I'm very low on the conscientious scale, that I must mean that I'm very low on that. I don't seek accuracy. I'm not methodical. I think those are accounting attributes. It's a little weird to see those things, but I think you and I probably don't necessarily trend to what the typical accountant.
I might be low on that scale.
We got to get you on this. I like them too. I think that I like a use case of using them when you're already as an existing team member. I'm not sure. I'm a little skeptical on the value of them as part of the hiring process. Because I think you can kind of work with anybody. I think it's just more about how people work and getting to know them better. But I don't know if I'd ever.
I think
decisions based on their person. On a person hiring.
We used them at my last job. Remember? But if you were hiring a staff accountant and you're looking at this profile, I'm just saying you're pretty much hosed, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how I even.
So I think for some roles they're more important than others. Obviously, like a sales role or a business development role. If you have like a sales role that requires more of long-term thinking, I think this can be very helpful. Like it's a data point, right? I think if you have a business development role that is more like a partnership program person that needs to value long-term, and you've got somebody that it's showing is more transactional, you need to take that into consideration. So it's just one data point on a spectrum, and information is good generally. So I like it in the hiring process too. I'm not detail oriented enough to make people do it.
There you go. You're clearly not a C. Me and my I, just make sure you give me recognition, but just remember my strength is in entertaining.
Okay.
Clearly. So, I don't like complexity. There you go. It all sums me up. Anyway, okay, the last one, and you already went there on this.
How did I do that?
I don't know how you left there. It's probably just kind of the way that we always get there. So actually, I had two more. We'll go quick. LSU basketball coach had a FBI wiretap. I don't know if you saw this, which is not the first one of these coaches to get dinged, but yeah, for paying for recruits, right? So to your point earlier about like someone had to pay Sue to, pay the players in college, or don't pay the players in college.
Oh, pay the players in college.
Pay them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stupid. It's a huge business.
I totally agree.
It's a huge business. You commercialize them. You sell their jerseys. That's just. It's almost criminal at some of these D1 schools.
I completely agree.
That you don't do that. I'm probably more in favor of college football and college basketball breaking into the Power 5 and paying the Power 5 and not paying the rest and see what happens or something like that. But
we started there. It started with the Power 5. And we build something in place there. And, I think it could clean things up a little bit and and the economics are so far off there because you're right. The NCAA and some of the rules they have there are ridiculous and archaic and work against these kids. I think it hurts. It hurts the college programs. I think college football is pretty strong right now, but man, I really feel like.
Well, that's because they have the 3-year rule instead of the 1-year rule.
the college basketball, I
think it's ridiculous.
I hate what it's become now. That was such a great
all the good basketball players should skip college basketball.
Look at what, is Zion, is he played yet? Has he come back yet from that?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We talked about the busted shoe, didn't we?
We did talk about that.
We talk about random stuff on this.
We talk about
or this YouTube
welcome
channel.
Welcome to our,
what do we even call this?
Drink while you think.
Oh, just to drink while you think. It is that. It cannot be defined otherwise.
We got to work on our branding a little bit, I guess.
Okay.
Last question, our last point. I was another couple friends I was talking to, some firm owners out at System 6. So Jeremy Allen and Joe Carruth, great guys. Joe I've known for a long time, and Jeremy I'm just getting to know a good bit better. And they're out in Seattle, awesome cloud accounting firm. And so we just happened to be catching up and talking about some things. And one of the things we were going through, we're just comparing notes on how we take a client from a prospective client all the way through their life cycle to become like an actual recurring client. And we were talking about all the systems we need and things. And so Jeremy, who's their founder, was like, and he was kind of laying out like, I just need a system that when, I start them in the CRM system, all the way through, it can convert them into like the engagement letter and the credit card and get charged into the accounting system appropriately. And it creates all the workflow. And so we were like, I'm like, dude, could you please build that for us? Like everyone would love that.
Everybody would love it.
So I kind of just described one almost unicorn of a workflow that all of us would love in our space. What are other areas you see currently, whether it's in our firm Acuity or other places to where, oh man, I wish if we just had the workflow systems a little bit better, if someone could design a system like that would just be such a lifesaver. So here's, again, all you developers in our space, this is the part you want to tune into right now. We're going to try to tell you as a customer discovery process what all of us firms are dying for.
Well, hell, I'll take a billing system any day that can do hourly plus recurring. Man, what a pain in the butt. Like if you have some value-based pricing, or fixed fee pricing or whatever you want to call it, and you have some hourly pricing, like there is no system that's worth 3% of your revenue to do that. Right?
Right.
So that's on top of, if you take credit cards, another 3% of your revenue. Like, why would you give 6% of your revenue to credit cards and billing companies? Like, that's just a terrible space. Like, terrible service, terrible pricing models. Like, I'm really anti-billing systems right now. So, but put it on the billing system.
Maybe it's because of the fact that we have two of them. Is that maybe one of the reasons why we're?
we have to use two of them because we can't find one that'll do all the stuff.
That's all the features we need. Absolutely, I think that's a great one. That's a big one. I think another one that we still have struggled coming up with. And I know some systems say they address this, but not to quite where we've wanted it yet. Is workflow plus communication, like all in the same spot.
Yeah.
Workflow, communication, files. And there's some people who've done some great early steps to kind of get there. But I think we're finding more and more these days that, some clients going to communicate through email. So many teams these days are communicating in Slack. And so how do you not have disparate systems? And then your workflow is somewhere else. And how does that talk? So there's some inefficiencies there. But again, I think there have been a few firms out there who've taken some good steps to try to make that a little simpler, but there's still a few ways. There's a long way to go there. So.
Yeah. And then you throw in phone and video, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, how do you track that? Yeah. I mean, it's a mess.
I mean, how many people look at there and go, gosh, look at how many subscriptions we're paying for. It gets nuts.
It's silly at some point.
Silly stuff. Well, that's what we've got this go around. I mean, again, we're now legit. We're in double digits.
Congrats on number 10, dude.
On number 10, dude. Cheers on that. Maybe this one will get us to maybe 20 views. But
20 views. That's what we're going for. Look, I brought the propaganda.
That's totally propaganda.
And the background. The Acuity propaganda, folks, is now here for episode 10. So we better step up our game. if we're in double digits.
We hope everyone kind of got a kick out of last week doing that kind of live on site with Will Lopez. We actually are going to be adding more and more folks who's going to want to come on do the same thing, have a few drinks with us and kind of just.
Yeah, who wants to have a beer with us or a glass of wine? Like
Yeah.
we could do it. We need to do like a 3.
We're going to get more on
the
there.
3 paint ones or maybe the 4 paint ones because or else we'll get out of sight. Oh, maybe if we have a guest, you and I can be together and we still have 2 paints.
We've got all kinds of good ideas, but we're working on that already. I've got a couple of them already kind of further down the road. It'll be really interesting, but any of you out there who want to come on and talk shop, we're all for it. So until next time, we'll catch you at episode 11.
Thanks, everybody.